The broadcast reached every corner of the galaxy. Trillions of beings across thousands of worlds stopped what they were doing to watch. The Zeltrax Dominion had ruled 300 star systems for 4,000 years, and when Emperor Vthol spoke, the universe listened. The Emperor stood on a platform of polished black stone in the grand arena of his homeworld. His scales shimmered purple and gold under the lights. His forearms spread wide as he addressed the cameras. Citizens of the Dominion, friends across the stars. Today we celebrate a great victory. Behind him, soldiers dragged 3 figures onto the platform. They wore torn uniforms. Their hands were bound. Their faces showed bruises and cuts. "These are human generals," the Emperor said, "captured during their foolish attempt to challenge our border patrols. Look at them. Look at the best humanity has to offer." The 3 women stood straight despite their injuries. Admiral Chen Wei-Lin, commander of Earth's 3rd Fleet, kept her eyes forward. Her silver hair was matted with blood. Beside her, General Amara Okonkwo of the ground forces showed no emotion on her dark face. General Sofia Volkov of Special Operations watched everything with pale blue eyes that missed nothing. "Humanity has been in space for only 200 years, the Emperor continued. "They are children, weak, soft, and yet they dared to challenge the Dominion." He laughed, and the crowd laughed with him. "Today, we teach them their place." Across the galaxy, diplomats from 100 species watched with growing unease. The Larathi ambassador, an ancient being of crystalline form, turned away from the screen. He had seen too much history to watch what came next. The torture began. The Dominion used neural pain devices. These machines did not harm the body. They simply made the brain believe it was being destroyed, cell by cell. The pain was beyond description, beyond imagination. Admiral Chen was first. She held out for 3 minutes before she screamed. The sound echoed across the arena. The Emperor smiled. General Okonkwo lasted 4 minutes. When she finally broke, tears streamed down her face, but her eyes remained defiant. General Volkov made no sound for 5 minutes. Then she screamed louder than both others combined. The Emperor walked among them as they writhed on the ground. He kicked Chun in the ribs. He spat on Okonkwo. He grabbed Volkov's hair and lifted her face to the cameras. "This is humanity," he said. "Screaming, crying, begging. Remember this moment. Remember what happens to those who challenge the Dominion." The torture continued for 6 hours. 6 hours of screaming broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. 6 hours while other species watched in silence, too afraid to speak against the Dominion. 6 hours while humanity watched their generals suffer. When it finally ended, the 3 women lay broken on the platform. Alive, but barely. The Emperor stood over them, breathing hard from his efforts. "We will keep them," he announced. "Perhaps tomorrow we will continue their education. Perhaps the day after. They will provide entertainment for weeks." The broadcast ended. On Earth, in the Great Hall of the United Nations, silence filled the room. President Yuki Tanaka stood motionless before the blank screen. Her cabinet waited for orders. Her military advisors gripped their tablets with white knuckles. "Get me Ambassador Achabi," she said quietly. 2 hours later, James Achabi stood before the Galactic Assembly. The chamber held representatives from over 500 species. Most avoided looking at the human ambassador. They were ashamed, but not enough to speak. Achabi was a tall man with gray temples and calm brown eyes. He had served as Ois in the galaxy for 20 years. He had negotiated treaties, settled disputes, and built friendships across species lines. Today, his voice carried no warmth. "I request the immediate return of Admiral Chen Wei-Lin, General Amara Okonkwo, and General Sofia Volkov," he said. They are prisoners of war entitled to proper treatment under the Galactic Conventions. The Dominion ambassador laughed. Prisoners of war? There is no war, human. There was a minor border incident. Your generals were stupid enough to get captured. They belong to us now. The treatment they received violates 17 articles of the conventions. The conventions apply to civilized species. Humans are barely out of their caves. Murmurs filled the chamber. Some species nodded in agreement. Others looked away in shame. I ask once more, Asheb said. Return our people. Emperor Vthol's hologram appeared above the chamber. He had been watching. Ambassador Achabi, your concern for your generals is touching. Here is my answer. He leaned forward, his 4 eyes gleaming with amusement. We will return them to you in pieces. 1 piece per month. You may choose which pieces you want first. Laughter echoed from the Dominion delegation. Ashabi stood perfectly still. When he spoke, his voice was soft. Emperor Vthol, I am required by my government to ask you one question. Please consider your answer carefully. The Emperor waved a hand. Ask? Is this your final answer? Is this truly the path you wish to walk? More laughter from the Dominion. The Emperor smiled broadly. Yes, human. This is my final answer. Your generals will die slowly, screaming for mercy, and there is nothing you can do about it. Ashebe nodded slowly. Then may whatever gods you worship have mercy on you, Emperor. Because we cannot. He turned and walked out of the chamber. The Dominion delegation continued laughing. The Emperor's hologram disappeared with a smirk. But the older species did not laugh. The Lorathi ambassador sat frozen. The Methane Collective's delegation exchanged worried glances through their environmental suits. The keeper of the Void Archives began searching through ancient records with trembling appendages. Within 1 hour, every human diplomat in the galaxy left their posts. Every human ship began returning to Earth space. Every human business closed its doors on foreign worlds. The silence began. 3 days passed. No human ships crossed the border. No human signals left their space. Scout vessels sent by the Dominion to investigate disappeared without a trace. On the 4th day, Emperor Vthol ordered more torture sessions broadcast to the galaxy. The 3 generals screamed again. Humanity did not respond. They are cowards, the Emperor declared. Too afraid to fight. Too weak to save their own. But the older species knew better. They remembered other silences throughout history. They remembered what came after. On the 7th day, the Lorathi ambassador requested an urgent meeting with Emperor Vthol. The Emperor agreed, amused by the ancient being's concern. You must release the humans, the Lorathi said. You must apologize. You must do this immediately. The Emperor laughed. Why would I do that? Because you have woken something that should never be woken. Spare me your mystical nonsense. This is not mysticism, Emperor. This is history. The Lorathi's crystalline form pulsed with ancient white. 150 years ago, humanity fought the Kreth swarm. Do you remember the Kreth? The Emperor paused. The Kreth swarm had been a nightmare species, insectoid, endless. They had consumed entire worlds, entire civilizations. And then, suddenly, they were gone. The Kreth were destroyed by a coalition force, the Emperor said. No, the Kreth were destroyed by humanity. By what humanity woke when the swarm threatened to reach Earth. The Lorathi moved closer. Do you know what they call it? The Baba Yaga, an old Earth legend. A witch who devours those who harm innocents. Fairy tales. The Kreth numbered in the trillions. They had consumed 30 civilizations. They were the most feared species in the galaxy. The Lorathi's voice dropped to a whisper. Humanity woke the Baba Yaga, and the Kreth were erased. Not defeated, erased every ship, every world, every egg. In 60 days, a species that had terrorized the galaxy for 1,000 years simply ceased to exist. The Emperor felt a small chill, but he pushed it away. Ancient history. Exaggerated stories. I was there, Dorothy said. I watched. I remember. He turned to leave. You have tortured 3 human women. You have broadcast their suffering to the galaxy. You have refused to show mercy. And now the silence has come. He looked back one final time. Pray, Emperor. Pray to every god, you know. Because the witch is waking, and she's hungry. The Emperor dismissed the warning. He ordered his military to increase patrols. He broadcast another torture session to show the galaxy he was not afraid. But deep in the darkness of space, something stirred. Deep beneath Earth's moon, in caverns that had been sealed for 150 years, ancient doors began to open. Dust fell from metal that had not moved in generations. Lights flickered to life in the darkness. And in the depths of those caverns, 200 ships sat waiting. Their hulls were black. Their designs were old, but their technology was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Inside each ship, minds that had slept for over a century began to dream new dreams. Dreams of justice. Dreams of vengeance. Dreams of the hunt. In the command vessel, a consciousness older than any other stirred from its long sleep. She had been a grandmother once, long ago. She had baked cookies and told stories by firelight. She had held her grandchildren and watched them grow. Then she had watched them die, killed by the Thre swarm, and she had chosen to become something else. Something terrible. Something necessary. She reached out through the network, touching the other minds in the fleet. Warriors from every age of human history. Samurai and Spartans. Vikings and soldiers. Assassins and generals. All uploaded. 2 weeks had passed since the torture broadcast. 2 weeks of silence from human space. 2 weeks of nothing. The Dominion scouts sent to investigate had vanished without a trace. 18 ships. Gone. No distress signals. No wreckage. They simply stopped existing. Emperor Vthol stood in his war room, surrounded by his generals. Star maps covered the walls. Red dots marked the missing ships. They are hiding, the Emperor declared. Humans are cowards. They know they cannot face us in battle, so they hide in their little corner of space. General Thre, his most experienced commander, studied the maps with concern. My Emperor, I recommend caution. The pattern of disappearances suggests advanced technology. Very advanced. Nonsense. They probably destroyed their own ships to make us afraid. The Emperor waved a hand. Continue the patrols. Double them. I want human space surrounded. But even as he spoke, unease crept through the Dominion military. Soldiers whispered in the barracks. Officers exchanged worried glances. The silence felt wrong. It felt heavy. It felt like something waiting. In the prison moon orbiting the Dominion homeworld, the 3 human generals lay in their cells. Medical droids kept them alive, but did nothing for their pain. The Emperor wanted them to suffer. Admiral Chen Wei-Lin stared at the ceiling through swollen eyes. Her body had been broken in dozens of places. The neural pain treatments had left scars on her brain that would never fully heal. But her mind remained sharp. She knew the silence. She had studied the classified histories. She knew what humanity had buried beneath the moon. She knew what the silence meant. They woke them, she whispered to the darkness. God help us all. They actually woke them. In her cell, General Okonkwo heard the whisper through the thin walls. She closed her eyes and thought of her grandmother back on Earth. Her grandmother who had told her stories of the old days. Stories of the Thre War. stories of what humanity had created to win. "The Baba Yaga," she murmured. "The witch who eats the wicked." General Volkov heard them both. She had been special operations. She had seen the files marked with clearance levels that technically did not exist. She had read the accounts of the Thre War, the ones that had never been made public. She knew the Baba Yaga was not one thing. It was many things. It was a fleet of ships that should not exist, crewed by minds that had died centuries ago. It was humanity's darkest answer to the question, what happens when we face extinction? The answer was simple. Humanity became the thing that nightmares feared. "They won't stop," Volkov said quietly. "Once they wake, they don't stop until the threat is gone. Completely gone." "I know," Chen replied. "Millions will die. Maybe billions. I know." Silence filled the cells. "We should feel something," Chen said finally. "We should feel horror, guilt, something." Okonkwo's voice came through the wall, heavy with exhaustion. "We stopped feeling when they made us scream for 6 hours while the galaxy watched and did nothing." The Galactic Assembly met in emergency session. The great chamber buzzed with worried voices. Representatives from hundreds of species argued and accused and demanded answers. "The humans have gone silent," said the Methane Collective speaker. "This is unusual behavior. We request an investigation." "They are planning something," said the delegate from the warrior clans. "We should strike first." "Strike what?" The Larathi ambassador replied. "No one has seen a human ship in 2 weeks. No one has received any communication. It is as if they have vanished from the galaxy." The Dominion ambassador stood. "The humans are frightened. They saw what we did to their generals, and they are hiding. The Dominion will bring them to justice in time." "Justice?" A new voice rang through the chamber. The keeper of the Void Archives had spoken. This was rare. The keeper was ancient beyond measure, a being of pure energy who maintained records of every civilization that had ever existed. "You speak of justice," the keeper continued. "Let me share some records with this assembly." Holographic images appeared above the chamber. Ships, planets, battles. "The Thre swarm," the keeper said. 150 years ago. They consumed 30 civilizations. They killed trillions. They were unstoppable. The images showed worlds burning, populations fleeing, fleets destroyed. Every major power in the galaxy sent forces against them. All failed. The Thre adapted to every weapon, every strategy. They grew stronger with each battle. More images, more death, more horror. Then the Thre reached human space. A young species, weak, only 100 years in the stars. The galaxy assumed humanity would be consumed within months. The images changed. They showed a fleet of black ships emerging from nowhere. Ships of strange design. Ships that moved wrong, fought wrong, killed wrong. Humanity woke the Baba Yaga, the keeper said. 200 ships against the Thre armada of 50,000. The battle lasted 4 days. When it ended, the Thre armada was gone, destroyed. Every ship, every warrior. Murmurs filled the chamber. But that was not the end. The Baba Yaga did not stop. Could not stop. They had been given a mission: eliminate the threat. They followed the Thre to their homeworld, then to their colony worlds, then to their breeding moons. The images showed planet after planet going dark. In 60 days, the Thre swarm ceased to exist. Trillions of beings, erased. Not a single egg left to hatch. The Baba Yaga hunted them to the last individual, and then, only then, did they return to their sleep. Silence filled the chamber. "That is what the Dominion has woken," the keeper said. "That is what comes for you now." Emperor Vthol's hologram appeared, his face twisted with anger. "Enough of these fairy tales. The Thre were destroyed by a coalition force. These stories of demon ships are propaganda. I have the records, the keeper replied calmly. Would you like to see them? All of them? The images are quite disturbing. The emperor hesitated. What is the Baba Yaga? A young delegate asked. What is it really? The Lorthi ambassador answered. It is humanity's answer to extinction. When humans first reached the stars, they knew they were weak, young, vulnerable, so they built a weapon. A fleet of ships controlled by artificial minds. But not just any minds. He paused, letting the words sink in. Humans have a peculiar relationship with death. They fear it, but they also worship their dead. They remember their ancestors. They tell stories of their greatest warriors. And they found a way to preserve those warriors. To upload their minds into machines. That technology exists, someone said. Many species have it. Yes, but humanity did something different. They did not just preserve minds. They preserved warriors from every age of their history. Soldiers who had fought and died in 1,000 wars over 10,000 years. Samurai, Spartans, Vikings, Amazons, commandos, assassins. The Lorthi's crystalline form pulsed. They took the most dangerous humans who ever lived and gave them immortal bodies and ships that could crack planets. Why would anyone do that? The young delegate asked. Because humans knew that someday something would try to destroy them, and they wanted to be sure that whatever tried would fail. The Lorthi looked directly at the Emperor's hologram. The Baba Yaga exists for one purpose, to destroy any threat to humanity completely. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be bargained with. They cannot be stopped. Once they wake, they do not sleep again until their mission is complete. Then how did they stop after the Thre? The delegate asked. Because there were no Thre left. The threat was eliminated, completely. The Emperor laughed, but it sounded forced. You expect me to believe that 200 ships can threaten the Dominion? We have 3,000 warships. We have ruled for 4,000 years. The Thre had 50,000 ships, the keeper said quietly. They had consumed 30 civilizations. They were far more powerful than your Dominion. Enough. The Emperor's hologram flickered with rage. I will not be frightened by ghost stories. Tomorrow, I will execute the human generals publicly. I will show the galaxy that humanity is weak and the Dominion is strong. The transmission ended. The assembly sat in silence. Finally, the Lorthi spoke. Those who can leave this region of space should do so. What comes next will not be pleasant to watch. On the prison moon, the lights went out. All of them. Every light, every screen, every system. The guards stumbled in the darkness, calling for backup that did not come. In her cell, Admiral Chun felt the change in the air. Something was different. Something was coming. A voice spoke from the darkness. Old, female, warm like cookies baking but cold like deep space. My daughters, I have come for you. The cell door opened without a sound. A figure stood in the doorway. She looked like an old woman, small and gray-haired. But her eyes were black holes that swallowed light. Her body was metal beneath synthetic skin. She moved like water, like shadow, like death itself. Grandmother, Chun whispered. Yes, child. The figure stepped closer. You have suffered. You have been strong. Now rest. We will handle what comes next. More figures appeared behind her. Warriors in mechanical bodies. They moved to the other cells, freeing Okonkwo and Volkov. How many of you woke? Chun asked. All of us, Grandmother said. 200 ships. 12,000 minds. The full strength of the Baba Yaga. Can you stop? After you save us, can you stop? Grandmother's face showed no expression. Our mission is to eliminate the threat. The Dominion tortured you, humiliated you, broadcast your suffering to the galaxy. They are the threat. The Emperor, the military, they are the threat. Not the civilians. We shall see. Grandmother lifted Chun gently, like a child. For now, sleep. You are safe. The witches come for those who hurt you. As they carried the generals to safety, a message appeared on every screen in the Dominion Empire. Every world, every ship, every home. We are awake. We are hungry. We remember. Signed, the Baba Yaga. And in the darkness of space, 200 black ships emerged from nowhere, their ancient engines humming with terrible purpose. The hunt had begun. The Dominion's largest military shipyard orbited a gas giant on the edge of their territory. 500 warships defended it. 10,000 workers lived on its stations. It produced 30 new vessels every month. It died in 17 minutes. The Baba Yaga fleet appeared from nowhere. No warning. No transition from faster-than-light travel. They simply existed where they had not existed before. Admiral Krethvos commanded the defense fleet. He was a veteran of 40 years. He had fought pirates, rebels, and rival species. He had never known fear. He knew it now. All ships, open fire. He commanded. Full barrage. Everything we have. 500 warships unleashed their weapons. Plasma beams. Kinetic missiles. Nuclear torpedoes. The firepower could have destroyed a small moon. The black ships did not even try to dodge. The weapons hit them. The energy dispersed across their hulls like water on stone. The missiles exploded harmlessly. The torpedoes did nothing. Impossible, Krethvos whispered. The black ships began to move. They did not fly like normal vessels. They slid through space like oil on water. They split apart into dozens of smaller craft, then reformed. They phased through asteroids as if the rock was not there. And they began to kill. One black ship engaged 50 Dominion vessels. It danced between them, its weapons firing in all directions at once. Each shot hit. Each hit destroyed. The Dominion ships tried to flee, to fight, to surrender. It made no difference. Admiral Krethvos watched his fleet die around him. His flagship shook from near misses. His crew screamed and prayed and begged. A communication channel opened. A voice filled the bridge. Female. Old. Calm. Admiral Krethvos. You have served your empire for 40 years. You have killed many. But you did not torture our daughters. You did not watch them scream and laugh. Krethvos found his voice. What do you want? We want nothing from you. You are not our enemy. The Emperor is our enemy. Those who hurt our daughters are our enemies. You are simply in our way. Then let me surrender. Let my crew live. A pause. You may leave. Take your flagship. Take any who wish to follow. Tell your Emperor what you saw. Tell him we are coming. The Dominion ships stopped firing. They could not hurt the black vessels anyway. Admiral Krethvos ordered a retreat. His flagship fled at maximum speed. Behind him, the shipyard came apart piece by piece. The black ships dismantled it with surgical precision. They did not fire on escape pods. They did not chase fleeing workers. They simply destroyed the military target and moved on. 17 minutes from arrival to departure. 500 warships destroyed. The largest shipyard in the Dominion gone. And the Baba Yaga had not lost a single ship. On a small medical vessel racing toward Earth space, the 3 human generals slowly healed. Advanced technology repaired their bodies, though their minds would carry scars forever. Admiral Chen Wei-Lin sat up in her bed, watching reports from across the galaxy. The Dominion was in chaos. Military installations were being destroyed one after another. The Black Fleet moved too fast to track, struck without warning, and vanished before any response could be organized. General Okonkwo stood by the window, staring at the stars. How many have died so far? 60,000 military personnel, Chan said. No civilian casualties reported. Small mercy. Okonkwo turned to face her fellow generals. Do you think they can maintain that discipline? General Volkov spoke from her bed, her voice still weak. The Baba Yaga are not random killers. They are warriors with a purpose. They eliminate threats. Soldiers are threats. Civilians are not. What about when they reach the homeworld? Chun asked. Billions live there. The military is embedded in the civilian population. Then we will see if grandmother can tell the difference. The door opened. A young officer entered with a tablet. Admiral, we have received a communication from Earth. Chun took the tablet. President Tanaka's face appeared on the screen. Admiral Chun. Thank God, you're alive. Thank grandmother, Chun replied. She came for us personally. The president's face showed the strain of sleepless nights. The galaxy is watching the Baba Yaga's campaign. The assembly is in panic. Several species are demanding we stop them. Can we? You know the answer to that. Chun nodded. Once woken, the Baba Yaga do not sleep until the threat is eliminated. The protocol was designed that way. They cannot be recalled. The Dominion is offering to negotiate. They will release any other prisoners. They will pay reparations. They will sign any treaty we demand. What about the Emperor? He remains defiant. He says he will never apologize to humans. Chun laughed bitterly. Then he will die. The Baba Yaga will not stop until those who hurt us are gone. Can you reason with grandmother? You seem to have a connection with her. Chun considered the question. She remembered grandmother's face. The warmth and the coldness that existed in the same expression. The love and the hunger. I can try, she said. But I make no promises. The Galactic Assembly met again, though half the seats were empty. Many species had fled the region. Others refused to be associated with either side. The Larathi ambassador addressed those who remained. The Dominion has lost 8 major shipyards, 17 patrol fleets. Their military strength has been cut by 40% in 2 weeks. Where is the human ambassador? Someone asked. Humanity has not sent a representative. They say they cannot speak for the Baba Yaga. Cannot or will not. Does it matter? The Larathi spread his crystalline arms. The Baba Yaga is not a weapon humans control. It is a weapon they unleash. The difference is important. The Dominion ambassador stood, looking much older than he had weeks before. The Dominion requests assistance from the Assembly. We request a coalition force to stop this human aggression. Silence answered him. Please, he continued, desperation in his voice. They will destroy us. We made a mistake. We acknowledge this. But surely the punishment does not fit the crime. The keeper of the Void Archive spoke. You tortured 3 women for 6 hours while the galaxy watched. You laughed while they screamed. You promised to send them back in pieces. You asked if the punishment fits the crime. The ancient being pulsed with cold light. I have watched civilizations rise and fall for 100,000 years. Cause and consequence. Action and reaction. What you did to those women was evil. What comes for you now is consequence. You will not help us? We will not interfere. The Baba Yaga has not harmed civilians. They have not attacked neutral parties. They wage war against your military, which waged war against 3 unarmed prisoners. This is their right under the old laws. The old laws also say that genocide is forbidden. Has the Baba Yaga committed genocide? Have they killed civilians? Have they destroyed non-military targets? The keeper's voice hardened. They have shown more restraint than your empire has shown in 4,000 years. The Dominion ambassador sat down, defeated. Emperor Vthol watched the assembly's broadcast from his palace. Around him, his remaining generals planned their defense. 3,000 warships gathered near the homeworld. Every soldier, every ship, every weapon the Dominion possessed was being called home. "We will make our stand here," the Emperor declared. "Let the humans come. We will crush them." General Krethax, who had escaped the Shipyard massacre, spoke carefully. "My Emperor, I saw them fight. Our weapons do not harm them. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. Then we will overwhelm them with numbers." With respect, the Kreth tried that. They had 50,000 ships. I am not interested in ancient history. The Emperor slammed his fist on the table. I am interested in victory. We have ruled for 4,000 years. We will not fall to 200 ships crewed by human ghosts. Krethax bowed his head. He had served his emperor for decades. He had followed orders without question. But he had seen the black ships. He had watched them tear through his fleet like paper. He knew how this would end. The Baba Yaga fleet gathered at the edge of Dominion space. 200 ships. They had not lost a single vessel. They had not lost a single vessel. They had not lost a single mind. In the command ship, Grandmother reviewed the campaign. Her consciousness touched each ship, each warrior. She felt their hunger, their focus, their patience. The Emperor has gathered his remaining forces at the homeworld, a tactical officer reported. His name had been Marcus, 200 years ago. He had been a Roman centurion before that, in a previous life. Now he existed as patterns in a machine, dreaming of battles past and future. How many ships? 3,000. Everything they have left. And civilians on the homeworld? 12 billion. Grandmother was quiet for a long moment. In her digital mind, she remembered her own grandchildren. Their laughter. Their warmth. They had died when the Kreth came. She had held their bodies and sworn an oath. Never again. She would protect humanity's children. She would destroy anything that threatened them. But she also remembered what came after the Kreth. The silence when the killing was done. The emptiness where satisfaction should have been. The knowledge that destroying an entire species had not brought her grandchildren back. The Emperor must die, she said. Those who participated in the torture must die. But 12 billion civilians did not torture our daughters. The protocol demands elimination of the threat. The civilians are not the threat. The Emperor is the threat. The military that followed his orders is the threat. Grandmother's black eyes fixed on the star map. We will challenge them to open battle. Those who fight us will die. Those who surrender will live. And then we will find the Emperor. What if civilians shelter him? Then we will hunt him until he has nowhere to hide. But we will not burn cities to find one man. We are better than that. She paused. We must be better than that. Otherwise, what separates us from the monsters we hunt? The fleet began to move toward the Dominion homeworld. On Earth, President Tanaka received a message from Grandmother. It was short. We go to end this. Pray we remember who we once were. The President read it 3 times. Then she looked at the stars and whispered, Bring them home. And come home yourselves. Please. The Baba Yaga did not respond. They were already too far away, too deep in their mission. The final battle approached. The Dominion fleet gathered in deep space, 1 light year from their homeworld. 3,000 warships formed a defensive sphere. Every vessel was armed, crewed, and ready to die for their emperor. Emperor Vthol watched from his flagship at the center of the formation. His scales had lost their shine. His 4 eyes showed exhaustion, but his voice remained strong as he addressed his forces. Today we fight for survival. Today, we prove that 4,000 years of dominion will not end because of 200 ships. Today, we show the galaxy that the Zeltrax do not bow. Cheers echoed across the fleet. Soldiers chanted war cries. Weapons systems hummed with power. Then the Baba Yaga arrived. They appeared from nothing, just as they always did. 200 black ships against 3,000. The odds seemed impossible, but every Dominion officer knew those numbers meant nothing. They had heard the reports. They had seen the recordings. A communication channel opened. The voice of Grandmother filled every ship in the Dominion fleet. Warriors of the Dominion. I am called Grandmother. I speak for the Baba Yaga. Silence across the fleet. You have brought 3,000 ships. We have brought 200. You think this is a war? Her voice carried warmth and horror in equal measure. We know this is an execution. Emperor Vthol grabbed the communicator. You will find us harder to kill than you expect, which, perhaps, but I am old and I enjoy my games. So I offer you a gift. A pause. You have 1 hour to prepare. Move your ships. Plan your strategies. Say your prayers. When the hour ends, we feast. The channel closed. General Krethax turned to the Emperor. My lord, this is madness. They are giving us time to prepare. Why would they do that? Because they are arrogant. Because they want us afraid. It changes nothing. The Emperor's eyes burned with desperate fire. All ships, prepare for maximum engagement. When the hour ends, we attack with everything we have. For 1 hour, 3,000 warships repositioned, armed, and waited. Soldiers wrote final messages to their families. Officers reviewed battle plans that they knew would fail. Priests offered blessings that felt hollow. The Baba Yaga fleet did not move. They hung in space like patient predators, watching their prey. When the hour ended, Grandmother's voice returned. Time's up. Let us dance. The battle began. The Dominion fleet opened fire with everything they had. Plasma beams, missiles, torpedoes, kinetic rounds. The barrage was blinding. The firepower could have shattered a planet. The Baba Yaga flew through it like ghosts. Their ships moved in ways that violated physics. They split into smaller vessels, reformed into larger ones. They phased through missiles as if they were holograms. They absorbed plasma beams that should have melted steel. And they began their work. Each Baba Yaga ship engaged 15 Dominion vessels simultaneously. They were not just faster. They were not just tougher. They were smarter. Every mind controlling those ships had centuries of battle experience. Every tactic the Dominion used, they had seen before. Every strategy they had countered before. Admiral Krethvos commanded the left flank. He watched his ships die one by one. Concentrate fire on the closest enemy ship. All weapons, maximum power. 50 Dominion vessels focused their attacks on a single black ship. The energy output could have powered a civilization. The target ship shuddered, slowed. For a moment, hope sparked in the admirals' hearts. Then the black ship laughed. The sound came through every speaker. A woman's laugh, old and terrible. That tickled, the ship said. My turn. The black ship spun in a way that should have torn it apart. It fired once, twice, 3 times. 30 Dominion ships exploded in perfect sequence. The laugh continued. Emperor Vthol watched his empire die around him. His flagship shook from near misses. His screens showed ship after ship vanishing from the display. The odds had been 15 to 1 in his favor. 2 hours into the battle, those odds meant nothing. My emperor, General Krethax said, his voice hollow. We have lost 1,800 ships. The enemy has lost none. That's impossible. I am looking at the data. Not one enemy ship has been destroyed. Not one has been seriously damaged. The emperor stared at his general. How do we fight something we cannot hurt? We don't. We run, or we die. I will not run. Then we die. All of us. Every ship. Every soldier. Krethax met his emperor's eyes. We can still save some. Order a retreat. Let those who can escape, escape. They will carry word. They will warn others. Warn others of what? That the humans have become monsters? Yes, exactly that. The emperor was silent for a long moment. Around him, more ships died. More soldiers screamed and vanished. Order the retreat, he finally said. Those who can escape, escape. My flagship stays. My emperor. I will not run from humans. I will not hide from their witch. If I must die, I die as an emperor, not a coward. Krethax bowed his head. Then I stay with you. The retreat order went out. The surviving Dominion ships began to flee, scattering in all directions. The Baba Yaga let them go. They did not chase. They did not fire on the retreating vessels. They focused on those who stayed to fight. By the 4th hour, the battle was over. 2,800 Dominion ships were destroyed. 200 escaped. The Emperor's flagship remained alone, surrounded by black vessels. Grandmother's communication channel opened once more. Emperor Vthol. You stayed. I am not afraid of you. I know. That is why you are still alive. Cowards flee. You did not. I respect that. A pause. But respect does not equal forgiveness. You tortured our daughters. You made them scream while the galaxy watched. That debt must be paid. Then come and collect it yourself, witch. I intend to. But first, I want you to see something. The screens on the Emperor's flagship changed. They showed images from across the Dominion. Outer colonies that had surrendered. Military bases that had been destroyed. Ships that had fled and lived. We have killed your soldiers, Grandmother said. We have destroyed your military. But look at your colonies. Look at your cities. The civilians live. We have not burned your worlds. We have not poisoned your air. We have not killed your children. Why? The Emperor's voice cracked. Why show mercy? Because killing civilians would not bring our daughters back. Because destroying your entire species would not erase what you did to them. Because revenge is hollow when it consumes the innocent. Then what do you want? I want you, Emperor Vthol. Only you. Only those who personally participated in the torture. Everyone else lives. Your empire falls, yes. But your people survive. They will have a chance to build something better. The Emperor laughed bitterly. You destroyed my military, humiliated my empire, and now you offer mercy? This is not mercy. This is cruelty. No, cruelty was broadcasting our daughters' torture to trillions. Cruelty was laughing while they screamed. What I offer is justice. Grandmother's voice hardened. Surrender yourself, and we spare the rest. Fight to the end, and we will take you anyway. The only question is how many more die before you accept the inevitable. Emperor Vthol looked around his bridge. His officers stared at their screens, waiting. His soldiers gripped their weapons, ready to die on his command. He had ruled for 200 years. He had conquered 100 worlds. He had never bowed to anyone. But he had also never faced the Baba Yaga. If I surrender, he said slowly, you promise to spare my people? All of them? The colonies, the cities, the children? I promise. On the memory of my own grandchildren, long dead, I promise. Your people will live. The Emperor closed his eyes. In that moment, he was not a tyrant. He was just an old man who had made terrible choices and now faced the consequences. Very well. I surrender. The black ships moved closer, preparing to board. On the medical vessel racing through space, Admiral Shan Wei-Lin watched the battle's end. She sat with Generals Okonkwo and Volkov in the small observation room. None of them spoke as the Dominion flagship surrendered. "It's over," Okonkwo finally said. "Not yet," Chun replied. "The Emperor surrendered, but the protocol demands elimination of the threat. Grandmother may not stop with him." "What do you mean?" "The Dominion military is destroyed, but the infrastructure remains. The factories that built those ships, the academies that trained those soldiers, the systems that could rebuild everything in a few decades." Chun's face was grim. "A truly thorough interpretation of the protocol would demand all of it be destroyed. That would mean billions of deaths, entire worlds depopulated." Chun stood and walked to the window. The Kreth were erased completely because they were a hive species. Kill the queens, the species dies. The Dominion is different. They can rebuild. They can recover. "Grandmother promised to spare the civilians," Volkov said. "She promised to spare them if the Emperor surrendered. She said nothing about what comes after." The three generals exchanged looks. They had been through torture, through rescue, through watching their enemies die by the thousands. They were tired beyond words. But they were still generals. They still had a duty. "Get me a communication channel to the Baba Yaga flagship," Chun said. "I need to speak with Grandmother." The channel opened. Grandmother's face appeared on screen. She looked like someone's grandmother. Soft features, gray hair, kind eyes. But behind those eyes lay something ancient and terrible. "Admiral Chun, you are recovering well. Thanks to you." Chun took a breath. "Grandmother, I need to ask about what happens next. The Emperor will face justice. Those who participated in your torture will face justice. The rest will be spared. What about the infrastructure? The shipyards, the factories, the academies?" Grandmother was silent for a moment. "The protocol demands elimination of the threat. The Dominion's ability to rebuild is part of the threat. Billions would die. I know. Is that what you want? Is that what we want? To become the thing we fight against?" Grandmother's eyes flickered. Something human showed through the ancient predator for just a moment. "What would you have me do, daughter?" "Stop. The Emperor is captured. The military is broken. The threat is contained. You've won." Chun leaned forward. "Please, you saved us. Don't make us regret it by becoming monsters." The silence stretched for a long time. Finally, Grandmother spoke. "I will think on your words, Admiral. For now, we secured the Emperor. What comes after? That decision is not yet made." The channel closed. Chun sank back into her chair. Okonkwo put a hand on her shoulder. "You did what you could." "Did I? Or did I just delay the inevitable?" No one had an answer. The mercy of monsters, the Baba Yaga fleet hung in orbit above the Dominion homeworld. 12 billion beings looked up at the black ships and waited to learn if they would live or die. Emperor Vthol had been taken aboard Grandmother's command vessel. He stood in a chamber of dark metal and soft light, surrounded by figures that looked almost human but moved like machines. They were the uploaded warriors, the ancient minds given new bodies. Grandmother stood before him. She wore the form of a small woman with gray hair and gentle features. But her eyes held something that had seen too much death to ever be gentle again. "Do you know why you are here?" she asked. "To be executed." "Yes, but first you will understand why." She gestured, and screens appeared all around them. "Watch." The screen showed recordings, not the recent battle, not the torture of the three generals. They showed 4,000 years of Dominion history. Worlds conquered and populations enslaved. Species driven to extinction. Children separated from parents and sold. Elders killed because they could not work. Women taken as prizes. Men worked to death in mines. 4,000 years of cruelty, broadcast to an audience of one. You are not special, grandmother said as the images continued. You are not unique in your evil. Many species have done what you did. Many empires have risen on bones and blood. She stepped closer. But you are the one who touched our daughters. You are the one who made them scream. They were prisoners of war. They were unarmed. They were helpless. And you tortured them for entertainment. Grandmother's voice dropped to a whisper. I watched my grandchildren die when the Thre came. I held their bodies. I swore I would protect humanity's children forever. That oath drove me to become this thing I am. A monster. Yes, a monster who kills monsters. A nightmare that hunts those who hurt innocents. She tilted her head. But even monsters can choose. Even nightmares can show mercy. The Emperor looked at her with confusion. You speak of mercy. While planning my execution, your execution is justice. Mercy is what comes after. The screens changed, showing the Dominion homeworld. Cities, farms, schools, billions of lives. My warriors want to burn your civilization to ash. The protocol demands elimination of the threat. Your factories could rebuild your fleet in decades. Your academies could train new soldiers. The only way to ensure the threat never returns is to destroy everything. Then why haven't you? Because a human woman asked me to remember who I once was. Grandmother walked to a window that showed the planet below. Her reflection stared back at her. An old woman. A grandmother. A thing that had lived too long and killed too many. I was a mother before I was a warrior. I baked cookies and told stories. I held crying children and sang them to sleep. Her voice carried centuries of weariness. Somewhere in this machine body, that woman still exists. She asked me questions the warrior cannot answer. What questions? Will killing billions bring my grandchildren back? Will burning your cities heal the wounds in my daughters' minds? Will becoming the very thing I swore to destroy make the universe better? The Emperor said nothing. I know the answer. It is no. Revenge is hollow. Genocide is never justified. And yet the hunger remains. The protocol demands completion. My warriors demand blood. She turned back to face him. So I brought you here to make you understand. Not for your sake, for mine. I don't understand. No, you never will. Grandmother raised her hand. Emperor Vthol, you have ruled for 200 years. You have ordered the deaths of millions. You have built your throne on suffering and called it strength. Today, that ends. Will you kill me yourself? No, that honor belongs to others. A door opened. 3 figures entered the chamber. Admiral Chun Wei-lin, General Amara Okonkwo, General Sofia Volkov. They had healed in body. Those scars remained. They walked slowly, still weak. But their eyes held something that made the Emperor step back. You tortured them, Grandmother said. They will decide how you die. The Emperor looked at the 3 women. He remembered their screams. He remembered laughing while they suffered. He remembered promising to send them back in pieces. Do what you must, he said quietly. Admiral Chun stepped forward. She studied the Emperor for a long moment. In her mind, she relived every moment of the torture. The pain, the humiliation, the despair. Then she spoke. I should want you to suffer. I should want to hear you scream as we screamed. She paused. But I am tired of screaming. I am tired of pain. And becoming what you are would destroy me more thoroughly than anything you did. She looked at Grandmother. Execute him quickly. No torture. No games. Just end it. The Emperor stared at her. You show me mercy? I show myself mercy. You are not worth becoming a monster for. Chun turned her back on him. Do it, Grandmother. And then let this end. General Okonkwo nodded. General Volkov said nothing, but her eyes agreed. Grandmother bowed her head. As you wish, daughters. The Emperor's death was quick. One moment he stood. The next, he was gone. No screaming. No begging. Just an end. Grandmother turned to her warriors. Secure those who participated in the torture. They face the same justice. The rest are spared. What about the infrastructure? One warrior asked. The factories? The shipyards? Leave them. Leave everything. Grandmother walked to the window one final time. The Dominion is broken. Their military is gone. Their emperor is dead. They will spend generations rebuilding, and maybe, in that time, they will become something better. And if they don't, if they threaten humanity again, then we will be here, sleeping, waiting. They know that now. The entire galaxy knows. She turned to face her fleet through the communication channels. The mission is complete. The threat is eliminated. We return to our slumber. Silence across the fleet. Grandmother, Marcus, the ancient Romang, spoke through his ship's systems. We could finish this. We could ensure they never threaten anyone again. We could, but we choose not to. That is the difference between justice and vengeance. That is the difference between warriors and monsters. Her voice softened. We have served our purpose. We have protected our children. Now we rest and dream of better days. One by one, the black ships began to withdraw from Dominion space. They moved slowly, deliberately, letting the galaxy see them go. The Galactic Assembly watched in stunned silence. The Larathi ambassador spoke first. They stopped. They actually stopped. The threat was eliminated. The keeper of the Void Archives replied. They follow their programming. No. Programming would have demanded complete destruction. They chose mercy. The humans chose mercy. On Earth, President Tanaka received word that the Baba Yaga fleet was returning. She sat alone in her office, staring at the message. They're coming home, she whispered. They actually stopped. Admiral Chen Wei-Lin stood on the bridge of a transport ship, watching the Dominion homeworld shrink in the distance. General Okonkwo joined her at the window. How do you feel? Okonkwo asked. Empty. I thought I would feel satisfied. Or at least relieved. But I just feel empty. We won. The Emperor is dead. The Dominion is broken. I know. But we also unleashed the Baba Yaga. We showed the galaxy that humanity keeps monsters in our closet. Chun turned to face her fellow general. What does that make us? Survivors. That's all we can be. The transport ship entered faster than light travel, carrying them toward home. The Baba Yaga fleet reached Earth's moon. One by one, the black ships descended into the ancient hangars. The doors closed behind them. In the command vessel, Grandmother prepared for sleep. Her digital mind began to slow, to enter the state between death and dreaming. But before she slept, she sent one final message. To President Tanaka, we return to our rest. Pray you never need to wake us again. To Admiral Chun, you asked us to remember who we once were. You reminded us that even monsters can choose. For that, we thank you. To the galaxy, we are the Baba Yaga. We sleep now. Do not wake us. The lights in the lunar caverns went dark. The ancient ship settled into stillness. The uploaded minds drifted into dreams. Grandmother dreamed of her grandchildren. Their laughter echoed through digital meadows. She baked cookies that existed only in memory. She told stories by firelights that had gone out centuries ago. And somewhere, beneath the warmth, she dreamed of the hunt. The hunger never truly disappeared. It waited, patient, eternal. The witch was asleep. But she was not gone. 6 months after the Dominion's fall, the Galactic Assembly met to ratify a new treaty. Ambassador James Asabi stood before the gathered species. The 3 human generals sat behind him, recovered but forever changed. We call this the Chun Accords, Asabi said. named for the woman who asked monsters to show mercy, and they listened. The treaty was simple. Certain actions would never be tolerated. Torture of prisoners, genocide of species, attacks on civilians. Any species that violated these principles would face consequences. What consequences? A delegate asked. That depends on the violation. Achebe's voice carried no warmth. Minor violations face sanctions. Major violations face intervention. And severe violations? Achebe was quiet for a moment. I think we all know the answer to that question. No one asked for clarification. The treaty passed unanimously. In the years that followed, the galaxy changed. The Dominion fractured into smaller states. Some embraced democracy. Others fell into chaos. But none forgot what had happened. None forgot the black ships and the grandmother who led them. Humanity changed too. They were no longer the young species, weak and vulnerable. They were the species that kept the Baba Yaga sleeping beneath their moon. They were the species that had shown mercy when they could have shown annihilation. Other species approached them differently now. With respect, with caution, with questions they were not sure they wanted answered. Admiral Chen Wei-Lin retired from military service. She spent her remaining years teaching. Her students learned strategy and tactics, but they also learned about mercy, about the choices that define who we are. We could have let them burn everything, she told each new class. We could have let the Baba Yaga erase the Dominion from history. No one would have blamed us. After what they did to us, no one would have questioned our right to vengeance. Why didn't you? A student always asked. Because vengeance is easy. Anyone can destroy. The hard thing is to build. The hard thing is to stop when you have every reason to continue. She would look out the window toward the moon, toward the darkness where ancient ships slept. The Baba Yaga gave us the power to destroy our enemies. The choice to show mercy was ours. That choice is what makes us human. Deep beneath the moon, grandmother dreamed. She dreamed of cookies baking. She dreamed of children laughing. She dreamed of stories by firelight, told to little ones now centuries dead. And in the deepest part of her digital mind, she dreamed of the hunt, waiting, patient, eternal. The witch was asleep. For now.